So yeah, in both sessions you've done was the equanimity protocol, which is aimed to suppress a wideband, broadband activities around the posterior cingulate. And we're seeing that suppression in the first third to first half of the protocol, but then followed by a spontaneous burst of the slow wave frequency band, specifically the delta band, and around, sort of 16 to 17 minutes into the session. So this is 16 minutes, 15 seconds where slow wave peaks, and followed by a little drop on the slow wave, and immediately followed by another peak about a minute later. So you have dual peaks between 16 minutes and 19 minutes, and then we see the slow wave tapering off. So that's a really significant change, indicating the amount of spontaneous rhythmic discharge around the posterior cingulate. In the EEG, you can see there are these clear, sharp signs of discharge that happens between 1 to 2 times a second. So that's the delta wavelength, right? So, if I didn't know any better, or if the wave forms looked smoother, I would say you're falling asleep. But you can see there in the wave forms, it's not. It's actually quite sharp. So that's not a sleep signature. That is something else. It's a spontaneous discharge. One of the possibilities is that it could be your heartbeat, but in this case, we can eliminate that possibility because it goes bidirectionally. Heartbeat usually goes unilateral. And then the other reason we can eliminate that as a possibility is because heartbeat will stay fairly consistent, whereas you can see if I move the time scale, that sort of pronounced peak automatically disappears after a few minutes. So that is not a consistent heartbeat, right? Unless your heart stops beating, which wasn't the case. So you can see the spontaneous discharge that correlates to a phenomenon that you reported as a kriya state. When one reaches that, almost kind of looks like an absence seizure, where you would have very pronounced high amplitude, low frequency waves happening in a very rhythmic fashion. So when people have reported these experiences, physiologists have looked at them and kind of discovered that similarity between these phenomenon and the spontaneous absence seizure. They're not able to understand why. They're there are episodes of psychedelic enlightenment that look like the subject's having a seizure, or a temporal regional absence seizure, not a grand mal. And you can see these kind of patterns in specific parts of the brain as an affect of practice at a deep level of immersion, and then the subject comes out of it after a few minutes spontaneously, right? So usually lasts between 1 to 3 minutes. So you can see these discharges in both sessions that are 30-minute back-to-back. This could be correlated to the reported experience of kriya or other experience of deeper immersion, the emergence of some of these things.